Scooby Doo, looking for you. Scooby, Scooby Doo, where are you?
Over here!
All the stars are here, waiting for you. Couldn't have a show without you. Scooby, Scooby Doo, Scooby, Scooby Doo. Scooby, Scooby-Doo, Scooby.
Hey, Scooby! Where are you? Over here!
Hello, Scooby Doo fans! Welcome to my Season 1 Episode 15 review of the new Scooby Doo movies. Before we begin, I just want to wish you guys, a happy Friday the 13th, as yes, today's the spooky unlucky day. And I actually have a Friday the 13th review going up at this not too long after this one. So you guys can go check that out in honor of, today. But today is also Scooby-Doo's 55th birthday. Happy birthday, Scooby-Doo! And I'm so happy that, I'm so excited to, review something on Scooby's birthday. His actual birthday. And it's going to be a fun time. This is a very special day to celebrate Scooby. So in honor of that, I got a very special episode to talk about. So last time, I kicked off my 2024 Scooby month with a review of Season 1, Episode 10 of Scooby Doo Where Are You? I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was the last of my re-reviews. So now we're slowly focusing on the new Scooby Doo movies. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on those first 10 re-reviews. And now we're back to solely focusing on the new Scooby-Doo movies. So today, of course, I'll be covering Season 1, Episode 15 of the new Scooby-Doo movies, titled The Caped Crusader Caper, which was released on December 16th, 1972. The short synopsis of the episode is, the gang meet up with Batman and Robin for a second time while out camping. They join forces to try and foil the Joker and the Penguin's attempts to steal Professor Flaky's flying suit. So today's guest stars are Batman and Robin, and I mean, you all should know who Batman and Robin is. I doubt there's anybody out alive right now who shouldn't know who Batman and Robin are. Iconic superheroes, they've had plenty of media since their inception, but, I always do the thing where I like to introduce the guest star, and I've said it in the past, like with the first Batman and Robin episode, that this is not in any derogatory way. This is just me giving a short rundown of who, Batman, who the guest star is, just in case if somebody, for some reason out there, does not know who Batman and Robin is, or at least this iteration of Batman and Robin, which is what I'm specifically going to dive into. So, if for the 0.1% who don't know who Batman and Robin is, or don't know who this particular version of Batman and Robin are, here's just a quick rundown of who Batman and Robin are. So, Batman and Robin are DC superheroes who were created by Bill Finger, Bob Kane, and Jerry Robinson. Batman made his first appearance in Detective Comics number 27 in May 1939. Robin, specifically the Dick Grayson version that I'm talking about, made his first appearance in Detective Comics number 38 in April 1940. So in 1943 and 1949, Batman and Robin would receive 2 film serials. In the first one, Batman was played by Lewis Wilson, and in the second one, he was played by Robert Lowry, while Robin was played by Douglas Croft in the first one, and Johnny Duncan in the second one. But it wasn't until 1966 when Batman and Robin would become household names thanks to their hit TV show simply titled Batman. In the show, Batman and Robin were played by Adam West and Burt Ward. Now, the show would last 3 seasons. They got a feature-length film the same year it debuted with its first season. And I mentioned it before in my previous Batman and Robin crossover episode, that Batgirl was introduced into the 3rd season to try and, boost the ratings and keep the show alive, but that didn't end up working, and so it got canceled in 1968. However, though, in the same year, in 1968, Batman and Robin would get their first animated show by Filmation, which lasted 1 season and 17 episodes. The show was called The Adventures of Batman with Robin the Boy Wonder. Batman was voiced by Olin Soul, and Robin was voiced by none other than our very own Casey Kasem. Now, at the time of this episode, Batman and Robin were on a bit of a hiatus, as they hadn't had anything going on after the Filmation show. However, the following year, after these two crossover episodes, Batman and Robin would become main staple characters in the Super Friends TV show. The Super Friends would, of course, be, produced by Hanna-Barbera. Olin Soul would continue to voice Batman until 1983, and Casey Kasem would continue to voice Robin until 1986. The reason Olin Soul stopped after 1983 was because Adam West came back to voice Batman in the last 2 seasons of the Super Friends. Speaking of Adam West, at the same time that the Super Friends was going on, specifically the second season in 1977, Batman and Robin would receive another animated TV show by Filmation, but obviously Hanna-Barbera had Olin Soul and Casey Kasem, so Filmation had the genius idea, a very genius indeed, to get Adam West and Burt Ward to voice Batman and Robin in this new show titled The New Adventures of Batman and Robin. Sadly, the show would only last 1 season and 16 episodes, but damn, was it a good continuation show to the 66 show. So as per usual, I'll be watching Season 1, Episode 15 of the new Scooby Doo Movies on the new Scooby Doo Movies, the Almost Complete Collection. This collection has every episode of the new Scooby Doo Movies minus the Addams Family 1. I talk about that in that review. You hear me say that plenty of times, but just for any newcomers who haven't heard that before, just so you know, I talk about it in my episode 3 review of the Addams Family, why they're not in the collection. But as far as my experience with Batman and Robin, I mean, I said it in the first crossover episode, I love Batman and Robin. I am a huge fan of Batman and Robin. Specifically, I love the Adam West and Burt Ward versions of Batman and Robin, and I might be in a minority, maybe, possibly, but Adam West is my favorite Batman. I actually love the old school Batman. That was more lighthearted, more comedic. Now, I love Kevin Conroy's Batman. Don't get me wrong. I love the new, darker Batman. He did a fantastic job. Kevin Conroy, amazing Batman, so I'm not diminishing his role or anybody else that has tried to make Batman more dark and serious. But to me, no one's going to beat Adam West and Burt Ward in that department. To me, personally, Adam West has always been my favorite Batman. I love the show. I even have the complete box set of the Batman 1966 TV show right here. And I actually hope to one day cover it, possibly other Batman media, because, yes, Batman and Robin are my only favorite DC superheroes, specifically the Dick Grayson version. But I've seen the other versions of Robin. But yeah, Batman and Robin are my only favorite DC superheroes. You guys know from my past, I'm more of a Marvel guy myself. So if Scooby-Doo was crossing over to Marvel superheroes, that would have been a fucking treat. But, they mostly cross over DC superheroes. But with Batman and Robin, it makes sense. They're detectives. They investigate stuff. So it makes sense that Batman and Robin would join Scooby-Doo on an adventure. And it's like peanut butter to jelly. Like, this is a perfect blend of ingredients, these two. So I'm actually really excited to cover this second episode of Batman and Robin, because the first one I said was pretty decent. But yeah, a huge fan of Batman and Robin. I will definitely probably cover Batman media in the future as like a little side thing, possibly as a side project. Just because I enjoy Batman and Robin, specifically the old school Batman and Robin, because the Adam West and Burt Ward get a lot of hate for their portrayal by people who like the more new and serious and dark and gritty Batman, and I don't think that they appreciate. I think they don't really appreciate the old school Batman that much. I'm the complete opposite. I'm open to a lighthearted Batman and a good-hearted Batman. Adam West to me feels like an actual superhero and, is awesome. So rest in peace to Adam West. He was perfect as, Batman, and Burt Ward was amazing as Robin. I love the both of them. Couldn't ask for anything more out of them. And I've seen the Filmation show with Olin Soul and Casey Kasem, which is awesome that Casey reprised, his role as Robin in future shows, but also, played Robin a year before he played Shaggy, which was cool. And I did see the New Adventures of Batman and Robin with Adam West and Burt Ward voicing it. That was a good show, too. I wish that show had gotten more seasons. That was a good show. But yeah, besides all my gloating and all my love for and adoration for Batman and Robin, I believe most fans are pretty mixed on this episode. I've heard a mix of opinions about this second Batman and Robin episode. It's similar to the first one. Some people love it, some people don't. It just kind of... I think it's mainly due to what you're looking for in a Scooby Doo Batman and Robin crossover, and also what kind of Batman and Robin are you looking for? Because if you're looking for a dark and serious Batman in these two crossover episodes, then you're looking in the wrong place. This is not a dark and serious Batman and Robin. These are the more lighthearted, more good-natured, old-school Batman and Robin, not the dark and, brooding... Batman and Robin that it is nowadays. So, but if you do love the old school lighthearted Batman and Robin, like I do, then this is probably up your alley, especially if you're a fan of the Adam West and Burt Ward show, because Olin Soul and Casey Kasem did channel a lot of Adam West and Burt Ward's portrayal and made it their own and made it quite similar, which I love. So, yeah, I guess it just depends on your taste in Batman and Robin in general, but also what kind of crossover you're looking for in a Scooby Doo Batman and Robin episode. Are you looking for a mystery, just a Scooby Doo mystery and no adventure with Batman and Robin? Are you looking for a Batman and Robin adventure with Scooby tagging along for the ride, or are you looking for a mix of both? First episode was a mix of both, bit of a mix, an adventure with Batman and Robin, going up against the Joker and Penguin, and a mystery element, Scooby-Doo mystery element towards the second half where you had this, masked man, running around pulling the strings. So, but yeah, do I like this episode personally? Is it one of my favorites? Or, is it a step down from the first Batman and Robin episode? Is it better? Is it just average like the first one? Well, let's find out, shall we? So let's look at the episode to see whether I think it is a good or bad episode of the new Scooby-Doo movies. The episode begins with Mr. Inc. camping in the woods. Daphne asks a hungry Shaggy and Scooby to get more firewood, with the latter ending up pulling the antlers of a moose. Apparently they had never seen a moose before, as they mistake it for a wild horse. Just then, the duo hear strange laughing and spot the Joker and Penguin taking a man they call Professor into the forest. Fearing they may be spotted, Shaggy and Scooby start to back away, only for the former to accidentally sit on a porcupine, prompting him to yell in pain. Even though Scooby manages to muffle Shaggy's scream, the Joker and Penguin hear it and see smoke from the campsite. Joker tells Penguin to escort the Professor to their hideout while he takes care of the campers. While rushing back to the campsite to warn the others about the villains, Shaggy and Scooby end up getting caught by accident by Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin explain to Mr. Inc. that the man Shaggy and Scooby saw was Professor Flaky, who had disappeared from his home back in Gotham and was last seen entering the woods with Joker and Penguin. The Crusaders decide to let the Mystery Inc. team help, telling them they could signal the Batcopter by flashing the Mystery Machine's headlights, but advise them to be careful, as Joker and Penguin are in fact dangerous. Obviously, because they're, iconic in Batman foes, we knows how dangerous they are. And the gang remember, too, because in this episode, it's very much implied that, unlike the other guest stars who have made second appearances, but their first appearances aren't mentioned, in this, Shaggy, Scooby, and the rest of the gang do recognize Batman and Robin. They don't act like this is their first time against them, so it does seem like that first episode did in fact happen, and they do remember it very much. After the dynamic duo leaving their Batcopter, Fred, Velma, and Daphne wonder what to do to help. Shaggy then remembers that on their way into the forest earlier, he saw a cave on the other side of the river. Thinking the villains might be hiding there, the teens head down the river road to it. On the way there, they find a large log blocking the road, which Velma surmises is courtesy of Joker and Penguin. Noticing the log is hollow, Fred says they can easily move it. Unfortunately, at that moment, a dryad appears and tries to scare them, resulting in Scooby ending up hiding in the log. Unbeknownst to this, the others roll the log away to scare the dryad off, causing Scooby to end up in the river. When Shaggy notices Scooby's missing, he goes to look for him while Fred, Daphne, and Velma chase after the Dryad. When Shaggy finds Scooby in the river, he tells him to sit tight and he'll get him out. At the same time, the Dryad gives the Mystery Machine the slip. So Fred, Daphne, and Velma decide to go back for Shaggy. Meanwhile, Shaggy is trying to reach out and grab Scooby's paw to pull him out of the river when the Dryad appears behind him, leading to Scooby swimming away, with Shaggy joining him upon noticing the monster behind him. When Fred, Daphne, and Velma find Shaggy gone, they signal the Batcopter and inform Batman of what's happening. Batman tells them to check out the cave while he looks for Shaggy and Scooby. Unfortunately, when the Mystery Machine reaches the bridge spanning the river, a fiendish troll working a handle under the bridge turns it around, causing the van to go back to the teens' campsite. When Batman and Robin inform the kids that the road doesn't circle around, they tell them to make the trip again while they watch for anything suspicious from the air. Back at the bridge, the Dryad and Troll are revealed to be, of course, none other than Joker and Penguin in disguise, who discuss their plans to interrogate Flaky about his invention. At that moment, they hear Shaggy and Scooby on their side of the river. Deciding to have a little fun with the unsuspecting pair, Penguin uses his troll disguise to scare them into the bridge, while Joker spins it around, making the duo think they are surrounded by the troll. At that moment, Batman and Robin see Shaggy and Scooby's peril and come flying in. Seeing the Batcopter coming, Joker and Penguin make a run for it, with Joker even calling the dynamic duo Spoil Sports for ruining their fun. Unfortunately, Joker left the bridge crooked, causing Shaggy and Scooby to fall into the river, but unharmed. The Batcopter then chases after the disguised villains while Shaggy and Scooby see the Mystery Machine coming, but realize the bridge is out of place. I love the bridge scene. I think it's funny that Joker and Penguin are in these disguises, messing with Shaggy and Scooby. I think it's honestly hilarious. It's exactly what I would expect from old school Joker and Penguin. And it's fun seeing Batman and Robin come to the rescue, and then Shaggy and Scooby, readjusting the bridge for their friends. It's just fun seeing the Joker and Penguin mess with the gang. That's really what it comes down to. I just love seeing. This is one of many scenes that I like, just because the Joker and Penguin are having fun. They're messing with the gang. They're scaring them away, but that doesn't mean they're not threatening. Despite them being more comedic in their old school versions, if you watch the 66 show and the Filmation cartoon, they still have their evil, murderous tendencies. They still are willing to go to lengths to hurt people if they need to. So that doesn't mean that this version of the Joker and Penguin aren't probably opposed to hurting Shaggy and Scooby and the rest of the gang. They just don't feel a need to at this moment because really they're just trying to scare them because they just see them as teenagers. And they feel like scaring them is like the easiest bet rather than just trying to murder them right then and there. But it's a fun chase scene nonetheless, and I have a lot of fun with Joker and Penguin messing with Shaggy and Scooby. It's a lot of fun.
Like the problem is, there might be some strange, weird creatures in there.
Yeah, let's go back.
Thanks. Run.
Huh?
Yikes, like he's at this end too. Batman, up ahead, the bridge.
Quick, Scott. Quick. I've binoculars.
Holy hobgoblins. That must be Joker and Penguin.
Right, chum. I'm swinging over the river.
Huh? Catch this. The Batcopter. Spoil sports.
Oh,
There must have been a flood. Shag and Scoob are safe, Batman.
Good. Monitor the Batscope, Boy Wonder. We're going after those goony gremlins.
Fortunately, Scooby saves the Mystery Machine just in time by using the wheel to straighten out the bridge, allowing it to cross safely before picking up Shaggy and Scooby. At the same time, Batman and Robin are chasing Joker and Penguin into an open field with no place for the villains to hide. Batman then realizes the Mystery Machine was in danger because the bridge was out of place, but Robin assures him the teens are safe as he sees the van down on the river road. Unfortunately, in the split second they weren't looking, Joker and Penguin vanished, prompting the heroes to land and investigate. Meanwhile, the teens reach the entrance of the cave Shaggy saw, and Fred, Daphne, Velma all chew on Shaggy and, say mean comments to him and are very, and get all salty about him and gaslight him, just because it's not the cave that they were expecting. You know, and they get upset and take their frustrations out on Shaggy, and I think it's very rude and very, you know, it's not like them to do that, and I think it's very rude that Fred, Daphne, Velma did that, especially since in that same scene, Shaggy does end up finding the entrance to the cave, which was actually right next to that cave in the cliff. So Fred, Daphne, and Velma really do owe Shaggy an apology. Upon entering, they find nothing and start to leave when Shaggy trips on a rock switch and stumbles into a secret panel in the wall. After Scooby shows the others what happened to Shaggy, they all go through the entrance and find themselves in a larger cavern. Meanwhile, Joker and Penguin, having removed their monster disguises, interrogate Flaky and learn his invention is a flying suit. Seeing its potential and enabling them to evade capture by Batman and Robin, the villains decide to claim it. When Flaky sees through Penguin's claims that they wish to purchase the suit, Joker threatens to tell them where it is. Threatens him, saying, "Tell us where it is, or else." Flaky then reluctantly mentions it's at the Gotham Hillside Aircraft Company. Before the villains can leave for the site, however, their security alarm goes off and they realize Mystery Inc. is in the caves, and they decide to have a little fun with the teens before going after the suit. After seeing how Penguin opened an entrance in the wall, Flaky starts tapping it to find the same spot. Back on the surface, Batman and Robin are utterly baffled that the Dryad and Troll vanished into thin air, but thanks to a chipmunk in the ground, they notice something on the ground that the chipmunk is on. They discover a manhole cover leading into the cavern. Sliding in, they begin searching the tunnels for the villains and the teens. At the same time, Mystery Inc. find themselves in a cavern with a lake and a boat on the shore. Shaggy and Scooby elect to stay behind while the others continue investigating. Fred even saying, "Oh, come on, Shaggy, this could be exciting." And Shaggy is like, "Yeah, we're not interested in that. We just want to be by the exit," which makes sense for Shaggy's character. He's not looking for excitement. He doesn't want to get involved in this situation. And I don't blame him. I mean, there's two dangerous Batman villains in this cavern. I wouldn't want to go up against the Joker and Penguin. I don't know how Fred, Daphne, Velma have the bravery to, but I admire them for it. But I would definitely be more like Shaggy and Scooby, where I don't want to be putting myself in danger up against Joker and Penguin. Fred, Daphne, and Velma then enter another cavern where they are unknowingly seen by Joker and Penguin. The villains unleash a giant mechanical bat on the three teens before going after Shaggy and Scooby. I love the bat chase scene because I love, once again, the Joker and Penguin messing with the gang. But this time, instead of Shaggy and Scooby, they're messing with Fred, Daphne, and Velma. And I think it's fun that they're like, "Oh, you're friends with Batman? Well, why don't we have, like, a giant bat go after you?" It's just a lot more fun hijinks, and I love seeing the Joker and Penguin mess with the gang.
Jinkies, this is a big one. Anybody in here, Fred?
Can't see anyone, but I'm sure they've got the professor in one of these caves.
Yeah, I wonder if Batman captured Joker and Penguin. I hope.
She hopes. Now she's hoping soon she'll be hopping.
So, these bone-headed bird brains are buddy-buddy with Batman, eh? Let's cure them of their fondness for bats.
Way ahead of you, my web-footed friend. I've already activated our fearsome flyer.
Ah, fun time. Let's watch.
It's a bat! A giant bat!
Stay cool. I don't think it'll hurt us.
I know it won't. If we get out of here.
Good idea.
Creepers, it won't let us leave.
It sounds angry.
Yeah, better take cover.
I don't believe in ghosts. But I believe in bats. Yow!
Velma, look out!
Yay!
Uh-oh, time to leave.
Hey, what's up?
Never mind up. Get down.
Our mechanical bat is driving them batty.
Tis truly a tactic of rib-tickling terror. But there are other intruders in the lake cavern. They too should be entertained.
Quite so, you Emperor of Evil. I'll set the controls so our bat will keep these bird brains busy for a while.
Recognizing the pair as the two from the bridge, the villains decide to have some fun with them, first by sealing the entrance to the cavern, then by Joker disguising as a ghost to scare them into the boat and going out onto the lake where the pair meets the villain's phantom fountain. I absolutely love the Joker ghost scene. It is fucking hilarious. Seeing the Joker voice this ghost, scaring Shaggy and Scooby. It is probably the funniest scene in this episode, and I laugh my ass off every single time. I know fans would hate it because it's like, come on, man, this isn't serious, this isn't serious, you know, this isn't spooky, but come on. But let me tell you something. Scooby-Doo is a blend of horror and comedy, and not every episode is going to be a straight horror. I can go with the comedy if it's done well. The only thing I don't want is a dull and boring episode and a villain that's too comedic for me to not take seriously. But with the Joker voicing the ghost, it actually is funny because it's like, of course the Joker would do that. The Joker is all about, it's in his name. He's supposed to be funny. He makes dark, humorous jokes. So him being a ghost and making these funny noises is fucking hilarious, and I love every second of it. It's so funny. It fits with the Joker's character, and this is what the Joker was like back then. So I love the scene for me personally. Maybe some people wouldn't, but I love it. I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious.
Like, I guess that little boat is for fishing. But it's so dark out there, how can the fish see the worms?
What? You've entered my tomb, the tomb of gloom. Away! Away! Or you'll meet your doom. Blah, 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 blah.
A ghost? Like, let's exit. Yikes! Like we're sealed in?
Away! Away! Or you'll rule the day.
Hang on, Scoob. I'm gonna break the world speed record. Huh? Like the oars broke off.
Uh-oh.
Now watch this, you wily weasel of wit. I'm going to turn on the fearsome phantom fountain. Ooh.
The fountain then chases the pair back to shore before going back under, to their relief, but Shaggy freaks out when he feels a hand on his shoulder. Fortunately, it just turns out to be Professor Flaky having opened the entrance to the cavern holding him, which doesn't make sense because I believe it's the same entrance that Penguin just sealed Shaggy and Scooby from, which was the same entrance they were from. So it's animated weirdly because it's like, it doesn't make sense because if the Joker and Penguin came out that way, Shaggy and Scooby would have noticed them, and the Joker and Penguin would have noticed Shaggy and Scooby. So maybe that wasn't the room. Maybe it was like, you know, Professor Flaky got out of the room and then went on another pathway and opened another door. I don't know. It's just animated very inconsistently because that just doesn't make sense for the door to be there. At the same time, Batman and Robin stumble upon Fred, Daphne, and Velma's peril and use their batarangs to destroy the mechanical bat, saving the teams. Seeing the dynamic duo arrive, Joker and Penguin realize that their fun time is over and they use a secret elevator to escape back to the surface. After the heroes reunite and Flaky explains Joker and Penguin's plan, he reveals he had lied to them and that his flying suit is actually at the Gotham Rubber Factory. Batman and Robin then decide to fly to Hillside Airport to greet the unsuspecting villains. Unfortunately, upon reaching the surface, they discover that Joker and Penguin have stolen their Batcopter, but realize there's still a chance to intercept them in their Batmobile. The heroes then split into two teams, with Batman and Robin going to the Hillside Aircraft Company, while Mystery Inc. and Professor Flaky head towards the Gotham Rubber Factory, knowing that Joker and Penguin would show up there upon discovering the suit not being at the aircraft company. At the factory, the teens discover giant balloons of Batman, Robin, Yogi Bear, Fred Flintstone, and Santa Claus made for the Gotham City Thanksgiving Day Parade. I love that there's giant balloons of Fred Flintstone and Yogi Bear. I think it's cool that there's references to other Hanna-Barbera characters, which further cements that Yogi Bear and Fred Flintstone do exist in the Scooby universe. While Fred, Daphne, and Velma go up to Flaky's lab, Shaggy and Scooby elect to stay in the courtyard and signal them if Joker and Penguin show up. An interesting thing about this is that this is the plan at first, and then Shaggy and Scooby decide they want to go up to the lab, and then they change their mind when Fred tells them to be alert and that Joker and Penguin might come on the roof. And I love how annoyed Fred is because he's like, oh, jeepers. Like, he's so annoyed at Shaggy and Scooby that they can't make up their mind. Also, another interesting thing is that Fred, I think, says jeepers at least 3 to 4 times in this episode, which is not a word I associate with Fred. Usually this is a Daphne catchphrase, so it's interesting that, like in the previous Batman and Robin episode where Shaggy said jinkies, Fred says jeepers a lot in this episode, particularly in the Batman and Robin episodes, which I find fascinating, that this was a catchphrase that Fred said first, and then Daphne kind of said jeepers pretty much after this point. While in the lab, Flaky explains that the suit is controlled by buttons allowing it to jet in any direction. Back in the courtyard, Shaggy and Scooby hear the Batcopter coming and alert the others, with Scooby accidentally throwing small rubber tires on their heads in the process. When Joker and Penguin decide to sneak into the lab through a rear entrance in the factory, Fred, Daphne, and Velma go down to keep them busy until Batman and Robin arrive. In the factory, Joker and Penguin begin plotting to sneak up the staircase. So Fred and the girls react fast, with Fred using a tire and a broomstick to knock the villains off their feet, only to end up stuck to a vat of fresh rubber. Fortunately for Fred, Daphne and Velma come to his aid by using an inner tube to launch beach balls at Joker and Penguin to divert their attention. At the same time, Batman and Robin arrive in the Batmobile, and after Shaggy tells them Joker and Penguin slipped into the factory, they decide to use the Batcopter to reach the roof and enter the lab's skylight to await the villains. Unfortunately, when Flaky sees their silhouettes through the skylight, he thinks it's Joker and Penguin and panics, and he throws the flying suit out the window, where it lands on Scooby. Curious about the suit, Scooby slips into it before Shaggy and Scooby mess with the controls, causing Scooby to go flying into the air. Upon noticing that the flying suit is airborne, Joker and Penguin decide to go chase after him. Which is odd because Joker and Penguin, were chasing after Daphne and Velma when we last saw them. And then when we next see them, when Scooby's airborne, They go to head towards the gate. I don't know why. For some reason, I thought like they were chasing Daphne and Velma. And is that where they thought Daphne and Velma went? Were they about to give up and leave? Like, where were they going? Why were they going to the gate? I thought they were chasing Daphne and Velma. Batman and Robin see Scooby flying off into space and get back into their Batcopter to save him. Upon being encouraged by Flaky to press the landing button, Scooby starts fiddling with the suit's controls, resulting in him flying all over the area as Batman and Robin try to toss him a lifeline. Seeing this, Penguin decides to use his umbrella as a spear and puncture the suit to bring Scooby down. This is mainly due to Joker giving him the idea to do such. Unfortunately for Shaggy, but not for Scooby, Scooby dodges it and the umbrella pierces the Batman balloon, causing it to go flying, taking Shaggy with him. Shaggy had climbed onto the balloon earlier to, reach Scooby with it in order to try to save Scooby. The dynamic duo managed to save Shaggy and Scooby just before the balloon deflates. Seeing the Crusaders have gotten the suit, Joker and Penguin try to make an escape, only for the balloon to come down on top of them, trapping them. Also, another interesting thing is, besides Joker and Penguin, seemingly going to the gate for no reason after they were chasing Daphne and Velma, Fred, Daphne, and Velma are shown in the next scene watching Batman and Robin try to save Shaggy and Scooby. How the hell did Fred get out of the vat of plastic that he was just in? He was literally just stuck earlier. How did he get out of that? And what happened with the chase scene between Daphne, Velma, and Joker and Penguin? It's like there's a completely entire scene that was just cut out for no reason, and we just missed something entirely to connect the dots, because there's no reason why the Joker and Penguin would go to the gate, after they were chasing Daphne and Velma. Like, why are they giving up? Was that where they thought Daphne and Velma went? Why are they going over there? And how did Fred get out of the vat of plastic? He was just stuck in it not too long ago. He was literally trapped in it. He could not get out of it. So how the hell did he get out of it? Did Daphne and Velma help him? Did he somehow manage to get himself out? Was there somebody else that helped him? What happened? It's like there's a whole scene missing. Regardless, though, this final chase scene between Shaggy, with Shaggy and Scooby and the flying suit and the antics with that, Batman and Robin trying to save them, and Joker and Penguin trying their one last attempt to get the suit. I love all of it. It's fun. I enjoy it. You know, it's a fun little final chase scene to end off the episode. It gives most of the characters stuff to do, which makes sense. And somehow Penguin gets his umbrella back after throwing it after puncturing the balloon that Shaggy was on. I don't know how he got his umbrella back. That might have been just an animation error. But yeah, I love the final chase scene. It's so much fun. Seeing Shaggy trying to save Scooby, Scooby trying to get handles of the controls, and and Batman and Robin trying to save both of them. Joker and Penguin trying to get the flying suit by bringing Scooby down. It's all good fun. I enjoy the final chase scene.
Oh, wow, I gotta get him down. Don't go away, Scooby. I'm coming.
Head for the gate.
Don't worry, Scoob. I'll get you. Why, that's my sighing flute.
The flying suit. That's what we were planning to steal.
Yes. Now our plans are up in the air.
This is no time for corny quips. Gotta ground that hound, and then scoot with the suit.
Holy soap bubbles. Look, Batman.
Great Scott. No time to lose. He'll float off into space. Into the Batcopter. Quick, Robin.
Oh, Scooby, button the landing press. Land the pressing button. Oh, press the landing button. Which one?
Great Scott. He's descending too fast.
No, look.
I'll fly above him. Lower that bat cable, Robin.
Like, grab my hand, Scoob.
Sounds. Those heroes are trying to rescue that flying flea bag. Gotta get him down before they get him up.
Penguin, use your umbrella as a spear. Puncture the flying suit.
An excellent idea, Joker. Here goes.
Yipe! Help! SOS! Mayday! Uh-oh! Yipes! Batman, we've got to get Scooby out of its way.
Right.
Here I come!
Yay!
We've got Shaggy, Batman.
And just in time. Look.
Rat. The Crusaders have the suit.
The game's up, Penguin. Head for the gate.
Help!
Fred congratulates Batman on apprehending the villains, while Batman comments it was the balloon that did the work, though Velma quips that the balloon is technically Batman. Joker and Penguin have a falling out while blaming each other for their plan's failure, during which Penguin accidentally activates the flying suit again, sending Scooby back into the air, much to the team's dismay, but Batman assures them all that Scooby's got the hang of it now. And sure enough, the episode ends with Scooby showing off his handling of the suit's controls while shouting his famous catchphrase. I'm going to give Season 1, Episode 15 of the new Scooby Doo Movies 4 stars out of 5. Yeah, I had a fun time with this episode. I really loved it. I had a great time with it. It was a fun adventure with Scooby Doo teaming up with, the Scooby Gang teaming up with Batman and Robin up against the Joker and Penguin. What more can you ask from like a Batman and Robin crossover episode with Scooby Doo? So I had a fun time with it. It was definitely, I consider it a step better than the first episode. I'd say the only thing the first episode has over this one is, the mystery aspect. But we'll get on to that in a little bit. Obviously, I do have some issues with it. It's not perfect. But before I get into why this episode really works for me and why it's a good episode, I'll get on to what I didn't like about the episode first, and the things that held it back from being a 5 out of 5 episode. Starting with the negatives, the first one that I have is there was a lack of suspects in the episode. Now, due to the fact that they mainly decided with this episode to go full Batman and Robin adventure with the Scooby Gang tagging along. So it was a Scooby Doo, adventure with Batman and Robin teaming up to stop Joker and Penguin. Because of that, we lose, the number of suspects in the episode because the villains are revealed to us, which normally I would hate. But when it comes to Batman and Robin villains, it makes sense. We don't need a mystery about the Joker and Penguin, being villains. We know they're villains. We know who they are. So it makes sense that they make it clear that the Joker and Penguin are the villains immediately. And I think it rectifies what the first episode did, which is only give us half of, a Batman and Robin adventure with Joker and Penguin. This one, it went full in and gave us a full adventure against Joker and Penguin. And I feel like that was a good choice. Obviously, though, that means this is a negative that's going to come with that, which is we don't have any suspects in the episode. I guess the only way it could have been rectified is maybe had they had more than 2 Batman and Robin villains. Maybe had they had multiple iconic Batman villains in the episode, and you didn't know which of the iconic villains were, the ones, going after the gang and scaring them away and after the invention, maybe that could have worked. Maybe that would have rectified it had we had more than just Joker and Penguin. Because I know in the original show, there was, like, Catwoman, there was, I think, there was, probably Two-Face, maybe. There's Catwoman, Two-Face, Poison Ivy, anyone under the sun, like, so, you have all these iconic Batman villains from the original, Filmation show. I know Joker and Penguin were 2 of them. I think Clayface might have been in one of them too, so he could have been an interesting one as well. But yeah, I mean, you could have used, like, take some. I think the only way it could have been rectified is had you gotten maybe multiple Batman and Robin villains, and then kind of give us a mystery there on which of Batman's rogues are responsible for this particular scheme. Obviously that'd be hard because it's like, how do you do that? Because they're all villains, so how do you make, a mystery about which Batman and Robin villain is the true culprit of that crime? But I think they could have done it. I think that might have rectified it. But yeah, other than that, this is just a negative that came with the turf of it. If you're going to choose a Batman and Robin adventure with the Scooby Gang tagging along, naturally, you're going to reveal Joker and Penguin as the villains, which is fine. And it works for the episode, but it doesn't mean that you lose that element. So, yeah. Then we have the mystery of the episode. Now, I felt the mystery was wasted in this episode. It was mainly due to the fact that because they revealed Joker and Penguin's intentions too early. So, at first, the mystery was, why do the Joker and Penguin have Professor Flaky? What is their goal? Because the Joker and Penguin, they're Batman and Robin villains who could do anything. They have multiple motives. So, you don't know what scheme the Joker and Penguin are up to this time. Why do they holding this particular professor hostage? But then that's kind of answered when Penguin and Joker, are under the bridge. They take off their mask, and Penguin says they're going to go back and interrogate Flaky to learn more about his secret invention. So, okay, you lose that element, but then there's another mystery there. Why did the Joker and Penguin, what is this invention, and why did the Joker and Penguin want to steal it? What are they going to use it for? But then that gets answered, too, because when they interrogate Flaky, Flaky tells them it's a flying suit, and then they pretty much say that they're going to use it to commit crimes to get a step ahead of Batman and Robin. This is all revealed mostly about halfway through the episode. And I had trouble figuring out whether this was a good thing or a bad thing, but ultimately I decided it was a bad thing because I think, despite the fact that I love that they had it there, I think they should have waited a little bit longer to reveal Joker and Penguin's intentions. I think they revealed it a little too early and maybe should have waited just a bit longer. Had it maybe come in the last 10 minutes, had we known what they were after, or maybe 15 minutes or something like that, I think I would have been okay with it. But because they revealed it about halfway, a little bit just above halfway throughout the episode, we kind of lost the mystery of the episode. And at that point, it's like, well, we already know all the answers. So, there's no mystery there left after all. So I'm not saying there wasn't any mystery here. There's definitely is mystery on what the Joker and Penguin are doing with Professor Flaky, and then we get the answer to that, and then you're like, okay, what do they want with his invention? What is the invention? What are they planning to do with it? And then we learn about that, pretty quickly, not too long after that. So, there was a mystery here, but I think Hanna-Barbera maybe jumped the gun a little too early, revealing a little bit too much information to us a little bit, too early. So I think had they waited a little bit longer, it would have been okay with me. And this is really what holds it back, because I think I could have forgiven the lack of suspects and the other negative that I'm about to go into. But the fact that the mystery was kind of dropped the ball on and, and revealed a bit too early and we lost that mystery, yeah, it kind of brought it down a little bit. But still, it doesn't hurt the episode as a whole. It just holds it back from being a 5 out of 5 episode. But yeah, there was a mystery here, and I was definitely engaged with it. I just think Hanna-Barbera, the writers of this episode, just kind of revealed it a bit too early, and they should have maybe waited a little bit longer before giving us the answers that we wanted. Finally, there weren't any clues in the episode at all. Nothing to point towards Joker and Penguin's motives. Obviously, because there's no number of suspects, because we're in a Batman and Robin adventure with Scooby Doo and the gang, teaming up with Batman and Robin to take down Joker and Penguin. Obviously, there can't be clues about the suspects because it's not really a mystery episode. But there could have been clues to point towards Joker and Penguin's motive, which I think is a shame that there wasn't. Maybe the gang could have found something, or Batman and Robin could have found something and be like, okay, and maybe that could have pieced together the mystery. Maybe Penguin and Joker don't tell us the answers. That could have solved the mystery issue, where the gang find clues and figure out what the Penguin and Joker are after. Why do they take Flaky? What do they want with his invention? And, what do they intend to do with it? So, maybe the clues could have helped with that and, provided those, bits and pieces of information, but not revealed too much. So, yeah, it's a shame that there weren't any clues in the episode. I think there was an opportunity to do so, especially when you have, I'm sure, in normal episodes, I think Batman and Robin normally do that with Joker and Penguin, trying to piece together their scheme and whatnot. So I think it's a shame that they didn't do that and, have clues about, what maybe the Joker and Penguin are up to. But that's all I got for negatives, so I think it's about time we get on to the positives of the episode. Starting off the positives, the first one that I have is Fred, Daphne, Velma in this episode were pretty similar in a lot of respects. I felt like Fred, Daphne, and Velma were good leaders in this episode and were very brave in this episode. So whenever Batman and Robin weren't around, and it was just the gang, Fred, Daphne, and Velma were kind of the one propelling the mystery forward and wanting to find out what Joker and Penguin are up to. They were the leaders of the group. They were very much the ones who were keen on figuring out what was going on and how to help and stop Joker and Penguin. They were the driving force of it. But they were also brave because a couple times Fred, Daphne, and Velma went up against Joker and Penguin when Batman and Robin weren't there to to be around to help save them and protect them. So they took a risk against them because it's quite bold that Fred, Daphne, and Velma wanted to go up against two of Batman and Robin's most iconic foes, considering how dangerous they are. But I do respect them for that, and I think they're quite brave for doing that they're willing to go up against these two, Batman villains that are, we know all about them. We know how evil they can be and what they can do. So the fact that Fred, Daphne, and Velma were very brave and willing to go up against them is quite good for their characters. I actually respect them for it. So I think they did a great job. They propelled the adventure and the mystery forward, and they were brave and stood their ground against Joker and Penguin. They weren't afraid to fight them. I personally would be. I'd be like Shaggy and Scooby. I would not want to fight villains like the Joker and Penguin, but I think I commend them for trying, and I think that's great. Then you have Shaggy and Scooby. Now, Shaggy and Scooby were their usual cowardly selves, but a lot of the humor didn't really come from them. A lot of the humor really came from the Joker and Penguin messing with Shaggy and Scooby, as well as Fred, Daphne, and Velma. So that's really where the humor came from, and not necessarily Shaggy and Scooby themselves. Shaggy and Scooby made quips in the episode, although I will say a minor thing that I didn't like is I kind of felt like they made Shaggy a little bit of an airhead and kind of dumb in this episode. Or at least it felt like they made him feel like an idiot. I also didn't like that. I did like how Shaggy did help find the villain's hideout, but I didn't like how Fred, Daphne, and Velma kind of gaslit him and was mean towards him. And no one in their right mind would use this as a hideout. Come on, Shaggy. But, Shaggy was just trying to help, and they get all frustrated, and they take out their frustrations on Shaggy and Scooby. Well, not really, just Shaggy. And I think that's unfair, especially since not too long after that, he inadvertently does find the hideout, so he did point them in the right direction, but Fred, Daphne, and Velma never apologized for it, and I think that was not nice of them to do, to be mean towards Shaggy. Because they didn't know where to start, and Shaggy did give them a start. But they just got pissed that Shaggy's lead didn't really lead them anywhere, but technically it did. But regardless, I also did like Shaggy trying to save Scooby when he was in the flying suit and he was in danger. I think overall Shaggy and Scooby were pretty decent in this episode. They were the usual cowardly selves. I like seeing Shaggy help find the villain's hideout. And I like seeing Shaggy save Scooby. And, all the hijinks that they had with the Joker and Penguin was also fun, too. So, I was quite happy with the gang in this episode. Not the best versions of them, but they had good qualities in this episode. And I think for what it's worth, they worked in this episode. Then we have the guest stars of the episode, Batman and Robin. How are Batman and Robin? Batman and Robin were great in this episode. They were just as good as they were the first time around. In fact, probably even better, because they didn't make them look smart in the first episode with, Mrs. Baker and not, putting two and two together that she was the villain. But in this episode, they made them look very capable, very competent. I think Batman and Robin were very heroic in this episode. They always put the gang's safety first. They never, let the Joker and Penguin, their pursuit of the Joker and Penguin overtake, their heroism. They always make sure the gang were safe first before going after the Joker and Penguin. I think they had good leadership in this episode. Obviously, since this is a Batman and Robin adventure, and the Scooby Gang are teaming up with Batman and Robin to take down the Joker and Penguin, obviously Batman and Robin are very involved in this mystery/adventure. This is very personal to them. This is their villains. They want to go capture them. And, they lead the way, whenever, they're with the gang. Batman and Robin always lead the charge. They say, okay, we're going to do this. You guys do that. They took charge. They were good leaders. They were the ones that propelled it forward. Like I said, though, when they weren't there, Fred, Daphne, and Velma were the ones that propelled it forward. But Batman and Robin were definitely, good leaders in this episode. And I liked how they treated the gang as equals in this episode. it was very similar to the first episode, where Batman and Robin saw the gang as equals, equal mystery solvers who wanted to help, and saw them as good people that just were trying to help them. And they didn't... Obviously, Batman and Robin didn't treat them like kids. They respected them enough to help, but they also cautioned them, saying, be careful with the Joker and Penguin. They can be dangerous. But they were confident in their abilities, that they knew that they were confident that they could hold their own against the Joker and Penguin if they were to encounter them. And plus, Batman and Robin did save them a couple times when they were in danger by Joker and Penguin. So for me, I think Batman and Robin were great all around, and also the chemistry with the gang was great. I don't think Batman and Robin had any specific chemistry with any specific member of the gang. I think they bounced off all the members of the gang well. There were moments they worked well with Fred, Daphne, Velma, and there were other times where they worked well off of Shaggy and Scooby, sometimes even the whole gang. But I think Batman and Robin worked pretty well in this episode. Good chemistry with the gang, good leaders, very heroic, putting the gang's safety first, treating the gang as equals. Obviously, being very involved in the mystery, obviously being very involved in the adventure because this is their villains. So obviously they would do that. This is their responsibility. And they're technically in Gotham in this episode. Well, the last portion of it, they are. For most of it, they're in like the woods and the caverns somewhere outside of Gotham most likely. Although they could be in some woods in Gotham maybe. But they are definitively in Gotham when they near the end of the episode, when they're at the rubber factory. So obviously this is Batman and Robin's territory. It's their villains. Scooby and the gang are just there on the adventure. And even though this is a Scooby episode, this is very much a Scooby-Doo and Batman, the Scooby-Doo gang tagging along with Batman and Robin, for an adventure against, the Joker and Penguin. Then we have the villains of the episode. Now, the interesting thing here is while scripting this, I was like wondering how the hell am I going to judge two of Batman and Robin's most iconic villains as Scooby-Doo villains? But I did figure out a way to judge them based in and out of costume, because technically they were in and out of costume. They did wear costumes in this episode to scare the gang. So I'll go over what, the costumes they were in first, and then talk about them outside of costume after that. So in costume, you had the Joker and Penguin dressed up as a dryad and a troll. The Joker was the dryad, the Penguin was the troll. Joker voiced the sheet ghost, in the caverns, and then you also had the water phantom which was one of their last gimmicks. All four of them, not scary in the slightest, but they were very fun, very entertaining, delightful to watch. So while they weren't scary at all, they definitely were the most entertaining costumes that the Joker and Penguin came up with. I had a lot of fun with the Joker and Penguin dressing up as these characters and messing with the gang. I thought that was funny. They're not scary, but they're funny because of the people behind the costume. And that's really where this episode shines the most. Outside of costume, you have the Joker and Penguin, the two iconic Batman villains. And normally, I would hate any Scooby-Doo villain to mostly be out of costume. I mean, hell, in the last episode, I literally talked about how I hated that they barely tried with the villains in the last episode to have them make personas. But with Batman and Robin, I give it a pass because we don't need the Joker and Penguin in costume because we know who they are. The persona they are is what they are, is themselves. They're not dressing up as a persona. They don't do a dual identity. Joker is Joker, Penguin is Penguin. So but I did like that they still did give the Joker and Penguin costumes to still make sure, obviously it's a Scooby-Doo episode, they still need some, even though the villains are the Joker and Penguin, you still want to have, costumed villains in some respect. This is a Scooby-Doo episode after all, not a Batman and Robin episode. So they did do that. They made the Joker and Penguin dress up in these ones, and they were all fun and entertaining, goofy as shit, not at all scary or serious, but I had a lot of fun with them. But yes, outside of costume, I love the Joker and Penguin in this episode. They had such a good dynamic in this episode. The pair was amazing. I love that they decided to go back to Joker and Penguin, because in the first episode, Joker and Penguin were lackeys, which didn't make sense, and they only used them for a small amount of time. It's like they couldn't decide if they wanted a Batman and Robin adventure with the Scooby Doo Gang teaming up, or a Scooby Doo mystery where Batman and Robin are involved. Well, here they decided to choose the first option, and I think that was a good choice. The reason that I think it's a good choice that they chose a Batman and Robin adventure was that, it's a fun concept. It's a good, unique concept. Yes, we lose the Scooby-Doo mystery aspect, but to be fair, we get that in a lot of episodes, and I'm okay with them. If you're going to have Batman and Robin team up with an adventure, why not throw one of his iconic villains? Why not? We know who they are. We're going to have fun with it. This is an episode that's different from the others, and it's trying to go for, if you're a fan of the two franchises, that's what you're looking for. But what I love about the dynamic of the Penguin and the Joker is the Penguin is more of the serious businessman type. He's the one that's the serious one, the businessman type of deal. He's using finesse as his tactic. Joker's more the funny clown, doesn't take things seriously, is very loose. Is very impulsive, wants things done here and now, tries to threaten Flaky to, give up, threatens Flaky with violence if he doesn't tell him where, his invention is. So that's what makes their dynamics so fun and to watch and very entertaining. They're just a great pair, and because we know the Joker and Penguin, we know their history, we know all the different incarnations of them, and because of their iconic status as Batman villains, you just have a fun time with it, because it's like, it's the Scooby Doo Gang teaming up with Batman and Robin against two of Batman's iconic foes, Joker and Penguin. What more can you ask for a crossover episode? That's awesome. Yeah, it breaks some of Scooby Doo's, formula with the mystery and the lack of, and the suspects and the clues. And I did talk about how they could have maybe improved those stuff. But I'm okay with it because Batman and Robin are established characters, and so are Penguin and Joker. And that's what we signed up for. The Hanna-Barbera knew what they were doing with this episode. They knew what they were making, and so they gave us that. And I think that was good. Then we have the motive of the Joker and Penguin. So their motive was actually pretty good in this episode. So their motive at first was that they wanted to scare the gang away from their hideout. That was like their temporary motive for at least the first bit of it. But their ultimate motive and their primary motive was that they wanted to steal Flaky's flying suit to get a step ahead of Batman and Robin, as well as commit, crimes better. So they want to commit crimes better and efficiently, while also getting a step ahead of Batman and Robin, trying to, evade them faster and have an ace up their sleeve. That's something the Joker and Penguin would do. That's a good motive. Them wanting to steal an invention that not only helps, them commit their crimes, but also get away from Batman and Robin easily and have an ace up their sleeve to use against Batman and Robin. That's something Joker and Penguin would do, and it's a good motive that fits them. This is a much better utilization of Joker and Penguin than it was in the first episode, because the Joker and Penguin are not lackeys. They are the head guys. They are the bosses. They're the ones that make the decisions. And yeah, they don't have cronies in this episode, but it would have been too crowded if they did. So it's okay that it's just the two of them. In a Batman episode, we would expect that. But because this is a Scooby-Doo episode, we don't need that amount of crony. We don't need more cronies along with, Joker and Penguin. We just need the two of them. And that's all that matters. Plus, they're suitable enough on their own that they don't need it. So it's good that they made them the primary villains of the episode and not the lackeys, because that's who Joker and Penguin are. They are the primary villains. They are the head guys. They are the bosses. They're not the lackeys of somebody else. Joker and Penguin would never do that. They don't let people pull their strings. They are the ones that pull the string of others. I thought the atmosphere was pretty good in this episode, which might be surprising to some people because it isn't a particularly scary episode. And I would agree, it's not really a creepy and eerie atmosphere, but I will say that the atmosphere is filled with tension and suspense. Now, you might say, how is that so? Like, the Joker and Penguin are very comedic in this episode. How is it filled with tension and suspense? Well, like I said earlier, just because this is a more lighthearted interpretation of the Joker and Penguin does not mean they do not have the evil tendencies of, their counterparts. Every version of the Joker and Penguin, no matter how comedic or how dark they are still evil. They are still evil men that do evil things. So, in that sense, because we know the Joker and Penguin as characters and their history and their iconic status as Batman and Robin villains, you're on the edge of your seat wondering how far is the Joker and Penguin going to go to get rid of the gang, and can the gang hold their own against these two iconic foes? Quite dangerous iconic foes, might I add. I mean, Batman and Robin warned them for a reason. These are not two men to take lightly. We know Joker's history. Joker's a fucking murderous clown. Penguin's no better. He's a mob boss who does the same thing. He's willing to get his hands dirty if he has to. We've seen them in plenty of times, and hell, even in this adaptation, in the 60s, comedic version of Batman and Robin, like in the live-action show or in the Filmation cartoon, Joker and Penguin did use some extreme tactics to get rid of Batman and Robin. Now, they might have not gone too extreme, although I will say there was one scene where the Bat was, I think, holding a stalactite or stalagmite or something like that, and was flying towards the gang, so that Bat could have definitely killed them if it stabbed one of them. So I will say that, because of the Joker and Penguin status, because we know who they are, and because we fear the gang's safety, because despite the comedic nature of, the 60s versions of Joker and Penguin, they still are evil men. They still do evil things. And if you're familiar with the material, Batman and Robin material of, later years and even these years, you see that Joker and Penguin do make traps and do try to get rid of Batman and Robin. So who's to say they won't do the same for the gang? Now, granted, they're just trying to scare the gang because they probably don't feel right now it's necessary to get their hands dirty and try to kill them. But you wonder at some point, is there going to be a point where they're going to be like, fuck it, these kids are a pain in our asses. Let's kill them. Let's get rid of them. Now, they don't get to that point, but you do wonder, how far are the Joker and Penguin willing to go to get the gang off their backs, as well as Batman and Robin, in order to get this flying suit? And can the gang hold their own against Joker and Penguin? Because, despite Fred and Daphne and Velma being brave, they still are just teenagers. Joker and Penguin, they're very smart and very calculated with their threat, with their evil nature. So they're not ones to be taken lightly. We know that. We know, if you're familiar with Batman material, you know how dangerous Joker and Penguin is. So to me, the atmosphere wasn't so much creepy and eerie, but it was tension-filled and suspenseful because of the Joker and Penguin, because of the villains. You didn't know how far the Joker and Penguin, when they would reach their breaking point, like how far they were going to go to get rid of the gang and Batman and Robin. And you didn't know, is the gang maybe poking their necks out too much? Is this something they could handle? Like, is this maybe too much for them? Because remember, they're just teenagers facing up against these two dangerous, iconic Batman villains. This is definitely out of their league. This is beyond their league. This is something they normally don't do. I mean, sure, the criminals they face are dangerous in other episodes, but Batman and Robin villains are a whole nother level of crazy and dangerous. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tension and suspense in this atmosphere, and I think it's great. I was constantly on the edge of my seat wondering what was going to happen with the gang, and could they, withstand the Joker and Penguin, and what were the Joker and Penguin going to do? How far were they going to take their scare tactics? Were they going to go all the way and maybe even try to hurt them? Or were they just going to just have fun with it and scare them? you don't know. You never know. So, atmosphere is pretty good. I felt the tension and suspense in the atmosphere. Finally, I found the setting to be pretty good in this episode. I think it had a lot of variety in this episode. We went to 3 different locations. Not as much as the first Batman and Robin episode, but still a good portion of it. And that's what I love about these Batman and Robin crossovers, is the variety in which the settings go. We just don't stick to one place. We go to multiple locations. So the first one is probably the creepiest one out of the bunch, which is the woods that the gang is camping in. I think although the woods aren't as dark as maybe, say, Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Werewolf, you still do feel it. And being at the woods at night camping, and then Batman and Robin tells you that the Joker and Penguin are on the loose and in these same woods. Yeah, that's not exactly going to make me feel comfortable if I know the Joker and Penguin are in the same woods I'm camping at. That's even more reason for me to get the fuck out of the woods. So I think like the woods was a good creepy setting, especially mainly due to the villains, but also like woods are just creepy in general, they're very, it's very secluded, you have all these trees around, it's far from, certain, places in society, so yeah. And then you obviously you have the caverns, which is the Penguin and Joker's hideout for the episode. I thought the caverns weren't too bad. The caverns were all right. And then you had the Gotham City Rubber Factory, which was the final setting of the episode. And I actually love the Gotham Rubber Factory. I think it was cool that this episode had Scooby and the gang going to Gotham City this time. And I think that's cool. I think that's cool that Scooby's, in a part of Gotham. Not for the entire episode, but, for a small portion of it. And I think that's good to keep the variety going. I would have been okay if they had been Gotham the whole time, but I'm okay with them doing a little bit because it provides a good amount of variety. But I also like the iconic, like, cool references on the balloons, with, Hanna-Barbera characters. You have Yogi Bear and Fred Flintstone, which is pretty cool because it just showcases even more that these two characters exist in the Scooby universe. And obviously it's Hanna-Barbera, so obviously it's, it's a shared universe, but still, it's cool to know that, yes, Yogi Bear and Fred Flintstone do exist in Scooby's universe, as well as Batman and Robin. And they exist in Batman and Robin's universe, technically, in this, Filmation universe. So I think that's cool, in the Hanna-Barbera Batman universe. But yeah, I love all the settings. I think the variety's good. I think the woods are the creepiest, but I think the coolest setting is the Gotham Rubber Factory. I think it's cool that the Scooby Gang go to Gotham and, and guard Professor Flaky and go up against the Joker and Penguin. It's a cool final set piece, and I think it's good, that they go to Gotham for a little bit. And it provides that itch because it's like, we had, in the first episode, they weren't in Gotham. They were somewhere outside of Gotham. At least that's what I interpreted from that first episode. It's pretty clear that they're not in Gotham. They're somewhere outside of Gotham, but they're definitely near Gotham. But in this episode, they're outside of Gotham for a little bit. I don't know where. Maybe the woods outside of Gotham. Maybe the woods in another state. I don't know. I suspect it's probably the woods outside of Gotham. And, then the caverns, and then you have the gang actually physically going to Gotham, which is cool. So I think the setting was good. A lot of variety, and and you could pick, and you get to go to different locations throughout the episode, so it's fun. I enjoyed it. I also think these settings provided a lot of fun set pieces. The bridge scene with Shaggy Scooby and the Joker and Penguin dressed as the Dryad and the Troll. The caverns where you had Fred, Daphne, Velma chased by the mechanical bat. And Shaggy and Scooby being scared and chased by, Joker's sheet ghost and the water phantom. And then you have the Gotham Rubber Factory, where you have Fred, Daphne, Velma, going up against Joker and Penguin inside the factory. And then you have Shaggy and Scooby outside of the factory, dealing, trying to, save each other, and Batman and Robin trying to save them, while Scooby's wearing this flying suit and Shaggy's on a balloon, flying out of control, and Joker and Penguin are trying to get Scooby down so they can take the suit, and doing everything they can to thwart, Batman and Robin and take the suit. So all these settings just provide a lot of fun set pieces, and it's just a good time. Overall, guys, I would recommend this episode to fans and newcomers to the show. If you ask me which one I prefer, I do prefer this episode over the first one. I definitely love this one a bit more than I do the first one. I think the only thing that the first one has that's better than the second one is a mystery. I think the mystery was more solid in the first episode, but it depends on what you're looking for. I personally think this is a fun crossover adventure between Scooby and Batman, and if you're a fan of the two franchises, you'll definitely love this adventure. It's a fun time. It's Scooby and the gang teaming up with Batman and Robin to take down the Joker and Penguin. That in itself is an awesome premise and a fun time. And I always enjoy myself. I love seeing the Scooby and the gang going up against Joker and Penguin with Batman and Robin. That's an awesome premise. So, yeah, it depends on what you're looking for. The first episode has a good mix of two. So if you're wanting a bit more mystery, I probably would go for the first episode. But if you want more of a Batman and Robin adventure, I would say this episode is probably up your alley. I personally prefer this one. It's a much more straightforward. It knows what it wants to be, whereas the first one, I think it didn't know what it wanted to be. It tried to be both at the same time, and I did like it. I thought it was good, but it definitely had a lot of flaws to it. Whereas this one definitely knows the identity it's going for. I feel like they know what they wanted to be. They wanted to be a Batman and Robin adventure with the Scooby Gang tagging along. So they knew what they wanted to do, and they delivered on it. And if you're a fan of both franchises, you'll love this episode. It's a lot of fun. I have a good time with it. I can always go back and rewatch it. It's definitely the better of the two Batman and Robin episodes, in my opinion. It's a good time. It's a fun adventure, and if you love both characters, you'll definitely enjoy this one. So, yeah, definitely recommend it. Go and check it out if you haven't already. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Please give a like if you did. Comment down below your thoughts on the episode. You like this episode, or you like me? Do you consider it a pretty good episode? And, have fun with this, crossover between Scooby and Batman up against Joker and Penguin. Do you hate this episode? I'd be interested in that as well. Is this not what you're looking for in a Batman and Robin crossover with the Scooby Doo Gang? Did you want something else? Do you feel like this didn't deliver? Or are you somewhere in the middle where you just think it's okay, but it's not good or bad? I'm curious for your thoughts, so let me know. And subscribe for more Scooby Doo content like this, or if you're just interested in any of my other content, I'll have plenty more Scooby Doo reviews on the way as part of my Scooby month. And obviously, I'll have more going forward. This is a Scooby-focused channel, so I will not be stopping talking about Scooby-Doo anytime soon. You can also follow me on Facebook, where I have discussions about things we talk about on both my channels, and Twitch, where I hope to live stream in the future. So in my next video, I will continue my my 2024 Scooby month with my Season 1, Episode 16 review of the new Scooby Doo movies, titled The Loch Ness Mess, guest starring the Harlem Globetrotters again. Yes, the Harlem Globetrotters are coming back a second time. And from what I remember, a lot of people love this episode. And, I remember liking that episode a lot. So I have high expectations going into it. The first Harlem Globetrotters one was pretty bad. So hopefully it lives up to it. And hopefully we'll get a good Globetrotters episode. But also, it is the final episode of Season 1. Episode 16 is the last episode of Season 1, so we'll be finishing off Season 1 and moving on to Season 2 very soon. So, if you want to hear my thoughts on the final episode of the first season, as well as the second Harlem Globetrotters episode, whatever you want to call it, the final episode of the first season, as well as the second Harlem Globetrotters episode, you can check it out in my next video. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me on this video. This was a very special video, and I love that we got to talk about Scooby's second crossover with Batman and Robin for his 55th birthday. And happy 55th birthday to Scooby-Doo. I hope you guys are celebrating in any way, whether it's watching this episode or another episode. Let's celebrate Scooby. Let's have a good time. And also have a happy Friday the 13th. Watch a Friday the 13th movie if you're a Jason fan like me. I should have a Friday the 13th review up at the same time this goes up. Maybe not too long after it's up. But yeah, this was a great video to make in honor of Scooby's birthday. So thanks for joining me on Scooby Doo's 55th birthday and celebrating with this second Batman and Robin crossover episode. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and as always, peace out.
Hey, Scooby! Scooby Doo, looking for you. Scooby Doo, where are you? All the stars are here, waiting for you. Couldn't have a show without you. Scooby Doo, Scooby.